So the number 5 pitfall of masculine practice is that self-consciousness is not consciousness. How many of you guys here have heard that the masculine is consciousness and to embody the masculine is to rest as consciousness? How many of you heard this? Yeah, very common. It's the most common thing taught in masculine practice. And when it's taught, it's often assumed that everyone knows what that means. To rest as consciousness, as if we knew. What is the difference between self-consciousness and consciousness? Does anyone know the difference between self-consciousness and consciousness? Justin. You're still on mute, Justin. I can't hear you for some reason. Actually, it doesn't look like you're muted. It looks like you might not have a mic set up. Yeah. We'll come back to you if you can figure out your mic. You gonna type it? Sangeet.
Thanks. Okay.
Are you back? Justin, there, I think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I figured it out. I would say consciousness is your awareness of everything around you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with self-consciousness would be maybe aware of your feelings and of yourself, and
Mhm.
maybe doesn't really consider all the other things around you.
Sure. That's one way of saying it. I think commonly that's probably how it's most often interpreted by someone who really is grasping. But I want to give you a deeper layer to that. So stay with me here. You're aware of everything around you, right? What two things still exist there?
I guess the self.
Yes. You and everything else.
Right.
That's right. So the difference between self-consciousness and consciousness is self. So long as there is a self, the self is the obstruction in consciousness. It's the great divide. It's the very beginning of that dual nature of things that creates the first conflict, the first sense of fear. So long as there is a self and an other, fear will arise. Fear is the native state of that self. So we're here to explore and understand how that phenomenon takes place such that we can experience consciousness unencumbered, unobstructed by self. You follow? So your question or your answer to the question was definitely in the right direction. And now, how do you in your practice arrive at the point where there is no longer any you in that mix?
I would say meditation. It's a good place to start.
Yeah. Let me, because you're a more advanced practitioner, I want to give you something I think you could
Okay.
really use
Well,
in this. But that was
that's flattering, Justin, but yeah.
no. So you're a sensitive human being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
You're sensitive enough that when that you can feel what's in your intimate partner's constellation, so to speak. So, like for example,
Yeah.
things are swirling in her constellation, maybe things that are agitating her, upsetting her.
Yeah.
And like when you approach your home, like you can actually feel the impact of her constellation, maybe even before you get in the door. Like you could just kind of feel the temperature. And as you move through the home, it's like if something's up, like you could feel reactivity in her fields or like upset in her fields. Like it's visceral in your body, yeah?
Yeah.
And then you notice it in your psyche. Now that feels like conflict right away, right?
Yep.
Yep. Got some laughs there. I think other people can relate.
Oh, it's probably the most, I mean, if you don't experience that, then I think you're really not paying attention. I mean,
Well,
it's
absolutely. I think
right.
that's a very fair point. Yes. There's a sensitivity and a subtlety that you've developed to be able to perceive that moment. Now, first, what it feels like is that field overcomes you and then becomes your experience. So
Yeah.
her reactivity is now your reactivity. So she's
Yep.
reactive, I'm reactive. So we're at the
Yeah.
effect of our loving partner. Yes?
Yeah.
Now, this is very common with someone we deeply love because we entwine with them on such a deep level that, and this is why men are struggle more in intimate relationship than any other area, because you can go to a business meeting, you can go into these other environments with friends, with men's circles, and it's just not the same experience. But when your intimate partner gets triggered, it's like it's happening to you. It's like, does this feel true, Justin? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, are you kidding me? We've all worked together with Shelly, but yeah, I mean, when she's not happy, and the whole world is not happy. You
Right.
know, it's yeah.
So that intensity that you feel, right? Now, the first experience, the first layer is to develop the capacity to recognize what's in her constellation versus yours.
Mm.
Meaning that her reactivity, you don't have to take that on. You can observe it with equanimity and let it be there. You can observe it and just notice, she's frustrated. She's upset. She's feeling overwhelmed. She feels like she can't trust. She feels like she's not appreciated. She's feeling unloving right now. She feels unloved right now. She's feeling unsafe right now. You're noticing all of that and you can observe it. And just your ability to observe that much is growth. Like it's this capacity to not be reactive and at the effect of everything, which I also know you're capable of, right? So that's the layer to it. Now imagine if all of that was happening, but there was no you to be affected by it. Can you imagine what that experience might be like?
I mean, it would be liberating.
It'd be liberating. Yes, I think that's the right word.
I mean, I honestly have never experienced that.
Do you imagine that if you were to experience that, it would serve you and it would serve her?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's levels to it, right? Where it's not like it's like a binary experience. I mean, I think being grounded in situations while she's blowing, I mean, that's certainly like a step in the right direction.
Yes.
So I guess I have experienced that.
So, one thing I'll give you as a practical tool, if at any moment you're feeling attacked, you're feeling shame about what's going on, at fault for what's going on, it means your attention is trapped on you, is trapped on self. As a
Okay.
as an exercise, right? Because self-consciousness, what did I do?
That's yeah, that would be it's like the reaction, right? Like
Yes,
this fire,
exactly.
and it's like, what did
Yes.
I do?
And then that's the self arising in the field of
Yeah,
consciousness. Can you see that? And then
it's
shame
funny.
immediately follows.
Oh
And
shoot.
then
Don't put
blame.
your hand in the fire.
So, as a practice, particularly in such moments, and maybe in moments that aren't highly charged, in this way you can really develop the skill when you're not so reactive, place all your attention on her. See her to the point where you don't even exist anymore. You're just so tuned into her constellation, her field, her feelings. You're able to see what's swirling around her and swirling inside of her. That there's no you to be affected by them. Your attention is so completely with her. Begin experimenting with that as a practice and just begin to notice what happens. Definitely do it in the moments where everything's good, where everything's even. Really practice being so present with her. You can watch her breath as it moves in and out.
Mm,
You see the tempo her body's moving. You see what emotion she's wearing, that like the dozen emotions that are going through her every second that she
mhm.
doesn't even know she's feeling. Place so much of your attention over there that you dissolve. And just make that a practice. Let me know how
I
it
like that,
goes.
Justin.
Yeah, you got it, man. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Um, Bowen, I saw that your hand went up a moment ago. You still with us? I think he had to go. Oh, you are
Oh,
still with us. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Did you have a question?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Justin.
Great
Just,
to see you, brother. So good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm something still I'm trying to land with the that self-consciousness is not masculine practice. And in that my most common experience is something will be reflected on how I need consciousness on me. Like smile more, breathe deeper, and it's like a an invitation to bring more attention into self and the body when I'm in practice. And so there's a way for me, the not losing self feels uh, important in my awareness sphere, even as I'm experiencing and present to what's arising. And I'm curious, hearing you share with Justin to dissolve self, like there just seems to be something like wonky in my understanding now.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way. Do you think women like when you feel self-conscious?
I I believe women love to feel me, definitely not self-conscious,
Right.
but feeling the emotion,
Right.
my my receptivity.
Right. Well, let's not get into receptivity, but
Yeah.
do women want to feel their man self-conscious?
Oh man. Uh, it seems like such a clear no. And like I'm just I feel like I've been told so often that they want to feel that, but actually, I
Well,
actually, yeah,
well, they want to feel you conscious. They don't want to
yeah,
feel you self-conscious.
yeah.
One of the biggest complaints I hear from women is the guy's stuck in his head. That's why I try and breathe in your balls, smile, do this, do that, do this, do that. Here's the thing, you know, no partner wants to feel their man self-conscious. Correct? Well, you guys can agree with that statement. That's not the deepest turn on. That's not what makes them feel safe. When you're feeling self-conscious, they don't feel safe in that moment. Because if you can't trust yourself, how can they trust you? Right? But self consciousness is there either way. We all have a degree of self consciousness, right? And it can get triggered in different ways. Now, when you're receiving good feedback, Bowen, when it's good feedback, really mature, really intelligent feedback, that feedback will not make you more self conscious, it will make you less.
Hmm.
It will actually bring forward your consciousness and get yourself out of the fucking picture. Because what we're trying to do in this practice is to get you out of your own way, such that through your eyes, your breath, and your body is just pure consciousness. Now that is sexy as fuck. Where there's not an individual, unconscious, self conscious thought in your mind. There's no judgment happening in your mind. There's just pure consciousness coming through you. And a good partner will give you feedback to make that experience happen in you. Fortunately, when a lot of people learn this practice, men and women, they don't do that. They make their partner way more self conscious. They're very unskillful in their feedback. So instead of this experience happening to you, you're feeling a little smaller, more uncertain, like more rigid, more effort, right? You're trying to get it right. But that self consciousness is the obstruction in the way of the experience that both of you are actually wanting to have. When you understand that, you're able to bring more of that quality regardless of what kind of feedback your partner's giving you. In time, if you can mature together with a partner, her feedback would create that experience for you just as your feedback would create that for her. Feedback should never make her more self-conscious. Your feedback has her soften and relax and beam her light effortlessly, her beauty. She surrenders and softens, and that's what you actually want to make love to, a surrendered woman. An unskillful man sits in front of their partner and says, I would need you to relax. Never going to happen, because now she's self-conscious that she's tense, right? So what he wants from her isn't wrong, but his unskillfulness in communicating and getting that experience out of her is just unskilled. Same thing in this case, where what your partner's wanting from you isn't wrong, but when they say it, it makes you self-conscious instead of conscious. Does that help clear it up?
Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate the question. I think that's valuable for everybody. Thanks, Bowen. So self-consciousness is not consciousness. And whether we're doing meditation or intimacy practice, to sit here and obsess on ourselves, to be in conflict with ourselves, with our attention on ourselves, is not the consciousness we're cultivating. Masculine practice isn't here to obsess on ourselves. That's not the objective. The objective is consciousness.